Nakadosh Boker or Beki'im Bahalacha 6, Siman Kuf Samech, which is 160, day 59, page 147, Halacha Kavdale 24. We're talking about now using hot water for Netilat Yadayim. So it says over here like this in Halacha 24, it is permissible to use hot water for Netilat Yadayim even if it's scalding hot. However, it is best, however, to use room temperature water. So it's a big chidush. It's boiling hot water and you're using it for Netilat Yadayim. But he just says it's best though to use room temperature water, right? Which is basically regular water, okay? Regular temperature water. Look at 95. The source for this is the Gemara Masechet Chulin, right? Where the Amoraim debated this issue. Maran brings down the Rosh, the Rashba and the Mordechai, ruling that it's permissible to use even hot scalding water. He asserted that it appears that Rabbeinu Yitzchak El-Fasi, the Rif, and the Rambam agree with this. The seven mitzvot gadol and mitzvot katan, that's samag and samak, they forbid using scalding water, however. Okay, so it comes out it's a machlok, it can use hot boiling water, right? In the Shulchan Aruch, Maran ruled that one may use scalding water. The Magen Avraham cited of Shlomo Lulia that it's forbidden, and the Mishnah Berurah concur with this unless no other water is available. So, okay, so basically you do have the Mishnah Berurah is holding that it's asur, just like the Magen Avraham, unless you don't have any other water. There is no basis to refrain from using hot water, even if it has been previously been scalding hot, right? For sure, if you are boiling hot water and it cooled down, for sure there's no problem with that, because right now it's not boiling hot. The Ben Ish Chai and brought down in the Kaf Chaim ruled that we must follow the ruling disqualifying scalding hot water, even though Maran says that it's permitted. If the water is scalding hot, one should wait until it cools down a little bit. If it's impossible to wait, so you could use it, right? And even when you're saying the bracha, here he says you cannot say the bracha. Instead, you should just think of the name of Hashem. Therefore, those elderly men who heat their water for Netilat Yadayim in the winter, they have to make sure that the water is not scalding hot. Because, sometimes, especially, for example, in, no, not only Jerusalem, I'm saying, like, in Montreal, Canada, all these places, it's freezing cold. Even New York, it's freezing cold in the winter. So they're not going to come and use freezing cold water. So what do? They heat it up. But if they're going to use that water, right, you have to be careful, right? You have to wait. Despite the ruling of the Ben Ish Chai, since Halacha technically follows the Maran, that one may perform the mitzvah with scalding hot water if you cannot wait, so therefore you could still do the bracha. And this is the ruling of the Halacha Berurah as well. If it's possible to wait, though, obviously wait, because look how many poskim say that you cannot use it. You've got the Magen Avraham, you've got the Mishnah Berurah, you've got the Samag and the Samak, right? You've got the how do you call this? You've got the Ben Ish Chai in the Kaf Chaim brings it down that you can't even say a bracha. So look how many people. So because of that, obviously the best thing is to wait. Okay? But what about natural hot springs? Meaning I didn't heat it up. I didn't come and heat up the water and now I'm coming and using boiler. It's a natural hot spring. It's a hot spring. It's hot water. It is permissible to immerse one's hands in natural hot springs for Netilat Yadayim, but one may not fill a container with the water and pour it on the hands to fill the mitzvah. The water of hot springs generally has a very high mineral content, making it too bitter to be potable. Okay, so this is very interesting, like Chamet Tveria, right? You've got the hot springs of Tveria. So therefore, what's going to happen is it's basically not drinkable. You can't drink it. So even a dog, right, will not drink it. If the water of the hot springs is potable, or if at least it's fit for a dog to drink, it may be used for Netilat Yadayim. The fact that it is not fit for human consumption does not disqualify the water. So let's see 96 and 97. 96. It is permissible to perform the mitzvah by immersing one's hands in the water, since natural springs have the status of a mayan. Right? So again, one more time, a mayan, you're allowed to use. A mayan is a springs. So I could dip my hands into the mayan. As we already explained, one may immerse their hands there. But I cannot take it out and use it because it's not drinkable. So the Halacha Berurah cited some poskim ruling that hot springs are exactly like a mayan. In the case of hot springs, there must be at least 40 seah of water. It's not possible to fill, right, the container of the hot water and then use it for Netilat Yadayim because, again, it's not fitting for consumption even for a dog. Okay, number 97. The Talmidei Rabbeinu Yonah wrote that it is permissible to use the water of springs as long as a person can force himself to drink the water. Maran and the Bet Yosef and the Kaf Chaim Sofer pointed out that according to the Talmud, it depends on whether a dog will drink it or not a person. He therefore explained that Rabbeinu Yonah agrees, right, but offered a different way of ascertaining the status of the water. If a person can himself drink it, then it's definitely fit for a dog. Okay, fine. Halacha 26, page 148. What about if it's going to be putrid or saline water? So it's unfit for a dog. If a dog is incapable of drinking water because it's too putrid, too saline, or too bitter, the water is not fit for the mitzvah of Netilat Yadayim. Our sages ruled, which one? No, even with that, you cannot. It's not fit. He says our sages ruled that in such cases the liquid loses its status of water, so it's not even water. So even if you use a keli, it doesn't matter. It's not water. So he says, nevertheless, a mikveh that is filled with such water is kosher. both for people to immerse in it and for someone to immerse his hands. Because remember, a mikveh is a different deen of taking out with a keli and then using it. When you're taking it out with a keli and using it, you need the halachot of water. If it's the sea, or if it's going to be the mayan, or it's going like a springs, or it's going, you don't need the halachot of that. So the same thing. If it's a mikveh and it's you can't drink this water, but it doesn't matter. It's a mikveh. It's got 40 seah. It's a mikveh. No problem. You could dip your hands in it, right? You could immerse your entire body in it. But to take it out to use it doesn't work.
So you take tevilah from the
Exactly. So you could do tevilah there, but you cannot actually take it out. Okay. What about muddy water? So even if water is brown with mud, it is fit for Netilat Yadayim as long as it's fit for drink for a dog. A mikveh filled with such brown water is also kosher as well. We already mentioned it. Okay, if a dog cannot drink it because of the mud, it's disqualified for Netilat Yadayim, and the mikveh filled with it is also disqualified. See above in Halachot 2 and 3 for a rule in a case where it's known that the mud will settle to the bottom with time. What happens if there's mud, but it's going to settle? It's going to be all the way in the bottom, and once it's on the bottom, there's not going to be a problem. Okay, 28. If a pit is filled with putrid water that will become clear and clean as time passes, since it is in the fresh air, the water remains disqualified as long as it's putrid, meaning as long as it's bad, it's not good. The fact that it will become fresh later on does not make it fit for the mitzvah this time. Meaning we look right now, it's not fitting. It's not fitting. I don't care what's going to happen later on. Right now, it's not fitting. So you have to make sure that at the time when you're doing the Netilat Yadayim, it's going to be fit.